Hi, I'm Leia Memoria, and in this video, I'm going to explain how I went from this to this. Unfortunately, I forgot to press record on my process, but what we'll do instead is go through my brushes and then my layers. Before starting, I would like to give a big shout out to these artists that really inspired my piece. I will put their names up there and in the description, so make sure to check them out. Texture work is one of the biggest things I want to improve in my drawing, as I don't really use it that much because the brush I do tend to use are pretty smooth and don't have any crazy textures on it. This is why as the main and baseline brush, I'll be using the realistic G-pen brush to do pretty much almost everything. What is really good about this brush is that it is as versatile as the normal G-pen brush, but it has a little bit of textures on it on the edges. Okay, enough yapping and let's get right into the process. Okay, first, let me say this. My layers are a mess. Please don't ask how I'm able to find what I need to find because I don't know myself. Anyways, for this art, instead of a normal sketch, I went with color blocking. That means that instead of doing my normal usual sketches, since my main focus for this art piece was colors and textures, I directly went ahead and started making shapes, the most important shapes with colors directly, like this. So I started with the head, then I added the hair. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, my layers. The face, the body. But yeah, that's basically what it is. That's the sketch. That's just it. It's really simple for now because if you were to zoom on it, you will see how messy it actually is. And there's not much going on, but it's more than enough to give me a guide for what I want to do next. My style of art has always been painting and rendering over the sketch. I don't really like doing line art, so that's what I did. I started by applying the basic shadows on the face, like this, and did the same for the hair. So, like this. From this, I just painted over basically. Just made new layers and started painting over everything. So here, as you can see, this is only one layer of the face. For the softer part of the lighting, I am using the darker pencil. Like the realistic G-pen brush that I'm using so far, it is also a default brush you can get in Clip Studio Paint. Next, I want to refine the hair a little bit more. Hair is one of my favorite things to paint. So what I do is start refining the edges and how the strands work, like this. Then make sure that it's a bit more detailed and makes more sense to look at. And just render over it, like this. Oh, a hand popped in. As I paint, a lot of times, I am not satisfied with how things are placed or looking so far, which is why I have my best friend, the liquefying tool. I copied everything and put them in a different folder, so just in case that I'm not satisfied with the changes, I can always go back. Once the duplicated folder is ready, you do the scary thing of merging the layers together so it is easier to liquefy. And thanks to the liquefying tool, I can go from this to this. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh, but Leia, I prefer the old one. Well, yes, now that I'm looking at it, me too, but trust the process. So now what we're gonna do is hide the previous folder so we can focus on the current one and just render even more on it. So adding some clip layers to the hair, we add more details, adding the shadows, adding the lighting here to a little wow effect, I guess. Also, because I forgot to mention it, the composition in my head was pretty much clear. I wanted the light to come from down here and light up on the face. So this area would be darker, which you can see in the way I did the lighting in the shadows. Then we just keep going with adding more details and rendering. So here, as you can see, I'm cleaning it more and more. I added a whole body, apparently. And a bit more shadows on the face. Let's take a break from the character here because during my process, I actually realized that I do have pretty clear composition in my head, but I'm not sure what I want to do with the background. And for rendering, I probably want to see what's going to be surrounding the character. So let's scroll down all the way to my layers and look at what I did. So for the background, I was not exactly sure what the plan was, but I for sure wanted something dark, like this. So I just played around the colors until I find something that was kind of fitting what I had in mind. The way I imagined the background in my head was a bunch of textures, and it's kind of like a planetarium room. So, with a texture brush, I just did a bunch of very different random strokes. Not exactly random, it's calculated random. If I'm entirely honest, I was not entirely sure what I was doing for the background. I just wanted to feel, went for whatever felt was good and nice looking. But I did add some pillows here because the idea I had was that she was reading a book laying down on a bed. Added a bit more details by putting on a little plushie of my mascot. And remember how I mentioned previously that I wanted the background of the room to feel kind of like a planetarium? To play along this idea, I added some strokes that could be seen as shooting stars. I added some speck of dust, a bit of lighting, and hanging planets. Just added more and more details until I was kind of satisfied. At this point of the process, the goal wasn't to make a perfect and complete background. It was just to have some colors around the character, so as I continue rendering it, it wouldn't be too out of place. So for the next part, we go back to the character, and remember how I said that I wasn't that satisfied with the liquefying tool? Well, it seems my past self also was not that satisfied and made another folder, merged them, and liquefied again. After merging, the plan is still the same. Make new layers and paint over. Add more details, refine everything. At this point of the process, I was still debating whether or not I wanted to add my veil. So I made a whole different folder to add it and work on it. So you can see here are my steps for it. And just keep that hidden in a separate folder in case I change my mind later on. Next, I drew the little flower accessory on my head that is on my veil like this. Put it in a different folder in case I want to move it, make it bigger, smaller, whatever. Then you just keep rendering. My art style is pretty much just paint over and over until you're satisfied. I call that the skadoosh effect. Next, I add the little accessory on my forehead. So here, my little circle. Render it, the gem. Add decorations and more rendering to it. And just put them away in a different folder. Again, if I want to change the placement or the size. So what's the next step? I think you guessed it by now. More rendering and detailing. So I just added more things to make the thing pop more or just more pleasing to look at even from a further distance. I think at this point I'm pretty much satisfied with my character, but the art piece is still very lacking. It feels empty. There's a lot of empty space kind of around the character. There's not much going on down here. So this time, the details that we're going to be adding is for composition's sake. Remember earlier on when I mentioned that the idea of the drawing was that she was laying down in bed reading a book? Well, this time we're going to work on that book and make it feel magical. To do that, I used a rake brush to add some of those golden lines that will come out of the book, making it feel more magical, as well as this main source of light that I had the entire time in my head. It was just not drawn yet. Now the whole plan is to fill up the whole art with a more magical feel that comes from the book. The book is the main source of light. It's one of the key elements of this whole composition. So we're gonna start adding more details, adding really light effects to it. These are brushes you can find on the Clip Studio Paint store for free. I will put the codes somewhere on the screen. And just add a bunch of light details that really fills up the whole thing and makes it all feel more alive. Right now we're entering the final phases of the drawing, which is just pretty much making the whole thing pop more, adding more details, adjusting the colors. It's a little bit hard to explain what's going on inside my head, but I will try my best to show all the layers one by one. So first we merge the layers again, and what I like to do to make one of my drawings feel more complete and colorful is to add chromatic aberration. So this is what it would look like with a bit of chromatic aberration. Let's zoom on it a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. And let's do the before and after. Before, after. Before, after. It's very subtle, but from far, for me, at least my opinion, it makes the whole drawing pop out more. Now I just keep going with color adjustments. Oh, that's my glasses. For color adjustment, I like to make a multiply layer and add shadows that I didn't think of. Like this. Is it not nice? Does it make the whole thing pop out more? Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. Add more details, play with the light a little bit more. Oh, right, I had a wing layer, but I did not like it, so let's hide that. Added more details, and this is truly making the whole composition flow more, you see? Like that, and goes right into the book. I mean, it's kind of the opposite, it goes out of the book, but you get what I mean. In the final touches, I added a saturation layer to play a bit with the colors on top because I felt it was a bit too dark and muddy. Added more specks of dust, more little particles, and that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, I think we're done. That's a whole layer. But yeah, there you have it. My entire process from start to finish. I am so sorry if I'm terribly explaining. I myself don't know really what I'm doing. But I hope you were able to learn a thing or two by watching. And please look forward to more of my art stuff. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.